Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. Let's check it out.
Hannah's not here. On purpose? I think on purpose. Yeah. I talked to her yesterday about like the friend meeting, and I don't think it went that well. Like her friends. So I don't know if I asked her if she's called off the wedding, and she hasn't said so.
Okay, so they're doing the dress scene, and we're being informed that Hannah isn't there. It's not that she just had something else to do. It was on purpose because she is questioning the marriage, which I think is a good idea to do. I mean, I don't think anyone is thinking either one of them or that they're both going to say yes, yes. I would imagine that they're both a no at this point. Although I could see him maybe saying yes. I don't know. So she's not at the dress thing, which means maybe they're a breaker-upper before the wedding.
Hey.
Let me put this down real quick.
Okay. In the pods, what's the one thing you asked for? You said you wanted someone that can push you
Yeah.
and help you grow.
Yeah.
Do you think I've done that at all?
Yeah.
Is it too much, though?
At times, maybe.
All right, so it's starting out well enough. I don't predict, unless she's breaking up with him and she is going to be to the point. But if this gets into it, I'm guessing it's going... I'm trying to prepare myself, actually.
When I think back of like the very first like little incident we had with that like woman on the thing, and like I wrote notes, right? And this was my list. It was respect.
Okay, so we're learning that the notes were after the duck thing, because I don't remember if we knew that for certain. I was wondering if she was just writing those things down because she was just having normal wonderings about marriage with someone that she just met that everyone should be having. And by the way, my contact, I don't know if I said this in a video for, because in the member-only videos I go over more stuff, but my contact on the show told me that they narrowed it down to 7 couples, and they only had enough money to pay for 5 crews, because, each couple has to have a whole team of producers and sound people and camera people and producer, all this stuff, assistants and drivers and all this stuff. And so they have enough money for 5, and they had 7 couples. And we've seen in previous seasons that it's generally about 5 or 6. And so in previous seasons, they would actually not invite some couples to the getaway. And they would say, you're free to date and get married if you want to, but we've picked our main couples. And they usually, at least the showrunner will say that they will pick couples based on their prediction of who is seriously considering getting married, and not necessarily who is the most drama likely, if you will. And so that's just their statement, who knows, but it is demonstrated by their decision to not invite Leo and Brittany to the next phase. A lot of people were disappointed, including myself, for selfish reasons, because I was just curious what they were going to play out like. They, in the hallway, remember when Brittany was saying, we should, if we don't go to Mexico, we should go to Miami. And what my contact was saying was that what she was communicating was, we all know, because all the couples knew that there wasn't enough room for all the couples. So all the couples who got engaged knew, well, there's a chance that we won't go to the next phase on the show. It doesn't mean that we don't get married, but it just means that things are going to be a lot different for us. And so Brittany was apparently saying, look, if they don't choose us to go to the next phase, then let's go to Miami. And I think if they are using that metric of who is more likely to get married, Leo and Brittany were definitely on the end of the spectrum of couples that I don't think a lot of people would have guessed would have lasted until a yes at the altar. So they narrowed it down to 6, and they said, well, maybe we can pay for a 6th crew. So they decided to go with 6 instead of 5. But my contact said that there was one couple that one of the members, upon meeting in the hallway, actually said they were unsure if they wanted to go to the next phase. And at first, my contact wasn't telling me who that was because she didn't want to spoil it for me. And I told her, she doesn't want to spoil it for me. Also, I just don't want it to be spoiled for me. But she told me very recently that it was Hannah. That Hannah in the hallway had basically said, the way that my contact was saying it was that basically Hannah was saying, yeah, I don't want to move forward. I don't think that me and Nick are going to work out, or something along those lines. And that through talking with the producers, they decided collaboratively that they would move forward. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means the producers cajoled her or influenced her, or she just found better clarity or something. But that says something, right? That Hannah, upon going to Mexico, was already questioning it pretty thoroughly, maybe. I mean, maybe she turned it around upon going to Mexico, but not likely, right? And then you wonder, well, what's that about? Was that about her not liking the way that he looked? She did talk about that, how she could fit him in in her pocket. Or was she not really into Nick much, even in the pods? Was she going off of a hunch because she was hopeful? Was she wanting to be on the show? Was she confused because of the whole Leo thing? I don't know. She certainly didn't seem to be that into Nick, right? She had Nick at a pretty distant second, to the point where she broke up with Nick pretty early on. So I'm going to take a guess and say that she breaks up with him in this meeting, or they reorient and he rededicates himself. I'm sorry, I'll be better or something, which I'm going to have a hard time watching. But I think once again, we're going to see her dominating the narrative.
Had with that like woman on the thing, and like I wrote notes, right? And this was my list. It was respect.
So of course there's that word, respect. It's hard to know exactly what she means by that, but I think we know, which is lack of humiliation, lack of stepping outside of what she wants you to exactly do.
Delusional. Social awareness.
Mature.
Delusional. She said Delulu, but anyway, I wonder what she means by that. Is she going to elaborate on that? I don't know. I've only speculated to what that means. I doubt she even knows what that means. You could argue if someone said Delulu, I bet you there's a pretty big TikTok group of people who don't even know that Delulu comes from delusional. They just think it's some other word. Anyway, so then she said social awareness. And, there's different domains of social awareness. On one level, you could say that he lacks, but I wouldn't even say that necessarily. He comes across as stilted, but is that lack of social awareness? I mean, I wouldn't say that he's high demonstrating social awareness, but I would definitely not say he's low. But there's another domain of social awareness, which is knowing how to talk with your friends while your fiance, how do you have that conversation, right? Without making you look like a jerk face at best and an abusive partner at worst.
Maturity, confidence versus something.
Maturity and confidence versus ego. Those 5 concerns.
Okay, of course, maturity is on there. We could talk about that for. I think if she would have not talked about maturity as much, it wouldn't be such a meme. I don't know if it is a meme, but I'm guessing that it is, because it's such an easy way to put the mirror up to her and to go after her with her own language, use her own ammo against her, which is to say that she's not mature. She's not demonstrating maturity. So for her to go after him, I mean, it takes tremendous maturity to withstand the onslaught of ridicule and not fight back, to just look the other way or turn the other cheek or see the bigger picture or give your partner the benefit of the doubt or forgive your partner without them having to ask for forgiveness. But anyway, and then the last word was, what was it again?
Delusional. Social awareness.
Maturity, confidence versus something.
Maturity and confidence versus ego.
Confidence versus ego. Yeah, at the beginning of Mexico, I could see putting that on one's list, given the way he was coming across in the pods. It's just a question that you would have. I wouldn't say that it's a ding against him. If anything is a ding against him, if someone's not vibing with him, if you're not feeling the magic, then okay. But I think a legitimate ding is that he doesn't seem to really know who he is yet. You could argue that's maturity, I suppose, but as to his own admission, he has been solely focused on his career in the NFL. You know, for people in the NFL, for people aspiring to be in pro sports, that's all that they do. And they know that if they don't keep a laser focus, then their competition will beat them out. In fact, my coaches would say that. They would say, okay, we're working hard, we're running hard, and if we go easy on you, you can bet that, like another school, because I went to Issaquah High School, so it'd be like Mercer Island, you know, they're not giving up. So if you're not progressing fast, then your competition is going to progress faster. So yeah, you're better now than you were last week, but the other team, you know, they're at practice too. They're working hard too, you know, that kind of talk. So, you know, not only that, but just like your physical conditioning, and it's all encompassing. I don't know about kickers. I have a feeling that kickers have it a little easier because of the regimen, and at the very least, the play calling is a lot more simpler, right? So, but at any rate, you know, that was what he was aspiring to do, and he was laser focused on that, as a lot of them are. And a lot of times you actually have to condition your lifestyle. You can't go out, you can't drink, you can't have late nights. I mean, some can, but it's understood that if you do that, you're compromising your chances, right? And there's so few spots in the NFL. And if you can make it, then you know, you're in the big time and you have all the money and the glory and all that kind of stuff. But that's what he was doing, and that's what he he was pretty close. He was in the CFL and the XFL, which is a stepping stone into the NFL. He was laser focused, and so he's putting aside his, as he says, his dating. I don't know how common that is, but I imagine it is a thing. And so for him, you know, he's still trying to figure it out, and his way of flirting and interacting in a romantic setting, you could argue was stunted, sort of stuck in high school, right? If you saw a 17-year-old acting like he was in the pods, you'd be like, well, you know, he's 17. That's what he does. That's maybe what other people respond to his age. I don't know. But so yeah, he's still learning that. He's still developing that. But in terms of so for that reason, I think it's a legit red flag, not that he's a horrible person, but that he would just be still figuring things out, maybe even figuring out what sort of person that he would want to be with, right? He would be a gamble to marry, even if he said he was in love with you, because, you know, he hasn't really been around the block a few times to figure out who he is and what sort of person he wants to be with, what sort of relationship he wants. And that's the other part of it, is that he doesn't seem to have the understanding that when he's being transgressed upon, that he should say something and he should stick to it, right? So that would be another ding. Even if you're not abusive or steamrolly, to be with a partner like that, even if you're pretty ethical and you treat people well, there's always going to be rubs. And if your partner doesn't meet you, then they're going to descend into resentment and upsetness without giving you the opportunity. So, you know, those are legit dings for him. I'm not saying that he's this massively confidently caught individual. That's a weird way of putting it. But the way that she puts it is, I think she is applying a template that she needs people to fit into. And just makes you wonder, like, if Leo and Hannah, just imagine what that would have looked like, right? It's so cute. Leo and Brittany, I would just love to see a different show. Are they going to be on that? What's that other spinoff show that they have? But that's not really the same thing. Sometimes I wish that they would do like a best of season or some kind of all-star Love is Blind where they bring people back, right? Like you could have a Leo and a Brittany, right? I'd watch that. I mean, from other seasons, I'm trying to think who else we would like to see who isn't married, you know, because I would think, well, Jessica from season 1, but she actually got married soon after the show ended. But who else would? Well, Natasha from the UK version, Bowden, Katie, those two would be interesting. Matthew, Trevor, Mackenzie, the woman who pees in the pool. Irina, maybe. Marshall.
Those 5 concerns that I have are still there. They never went away, ever, because you just kept repeating the same exact actions. Social awareness, I do not see. Respect, you have none. Ego versus confidence, I feel like I need to stroke your ego for you to be happy.
My God. I don't know why. Every time. I'm like, in my head thinking, well, she'll return to Earth. And this will maybe not be great, but... And I'm thinking, well, if you're breaking up with him, maybe she'll go easy on him. But this is even worse. Respect, you have none. If she thinks he has no respect, then what is she looking for? I mean, ask yourself that question. Because he has, in the edit, he has bent over, backwards, so far that he's right side up again. It's a 360 backwards bending that he has done. I don't know how that's possible physically. So what does she mean by respect? Like someone who literally is at her feet and is in a leash? I mean, just ask yourself that question. I mean, social awareness, I don't know, maybe there's something you could say. There's some, but on the respect spectrum, wow, that is upsetting.
Kept repeating the same exact actions. Social awareness, I do not see. Respect, you have none. Ego versus confidence, I feel like I need to stroke your ego for you to be happy.
Stroke your ego. We haven't seen that in the edit, I don't think. And when does she do that? What is she talking about? I mean, who knows? We don't see most of their interactions. Can we imagine that being true? Maybe in bed? I don't know. Let's just take a guess and say that that is distorted as well.
And I feel like you extremely say that you're a confident person and I make you unconfident when I think it's just ego. And it's delusion. It's just like, you just can't see how I feel.
Okay, I've been waiting for a usage so I can figure out by context what she means by Delulu. She just said, you don't know how I feel? Is that what she said?
And I feel like you extremely say that you're a confident person and I make you unconfident when I think it's just ego. And it's delusion. It's just like, you just can't see how I feel.
It's Delulu, which is what she wrote down, because you can't see how I feel. Just stop using clinical words. Stop it. Just don't even use a label. Just say the phrase. Even though it's distorted, just say the phrase, and then you won't bother all of us clinicians. How is that delusion? That's not even close. I thought she was going to say you're delusional because you think that you're this sort of person when really you're this sort of person. Okay, that's not delusional, but it's in the direction, I suppose. But she just says you don't know how. Okay. So maybe on TikTok she's seen the word Delulu used in a way that she thinks means that. I don't know. But the other thing I just thought of, y'all, is that there's a chance, and I wouldn't say this if there wasn't a chance, that she actually picked Nick because she knew that she would be able to do this to him post-pods. Think about that. She knew, there's a possibility that she knew in the pods, especially after he bolted and she pulled him back and he was, bending over backwards, that she either unconsciously or consciously, if this is that, then at least I would hope it would be unconscious and not purposeful, that she knew that she would be able to get him in a position immediately where she could berate him and put him down. Think about that. I don't know if we've seen that on the show before. I don't know if we've seen that. Have we seen? I mean, it could have happened, but I don't know. I don't remember thinking this. Because it just, now we do have the fact that my contact told me that she said, I don't know if I want to go forward. So that flies in the face of that, right? But yeah, it's possible. That happens. And I suppose if Hannah, you're watching, I don't know, but an assessment is in order. And there's a road, if this is you, a road to recovery and a road to wellness and a road to enriching, attached, complicated, but glorious relationships.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah, I think he knows that it's bullshit and has been quietly resolute in that and has been protecting himself. And so he's like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. So my hope is that he's thinking, that's all bullshit. So I don't need to absorb that.
I don't understand you. I don't get it. For instance, like the Katie situation, for example, because I can use specific examples. I don't know if you can, but I can. And because I remember things I know you don't, but like.
You're just throwing shade for no reason.
It's just the truth.
It's not the truth.
It's my truth.
But you see how you're always demeaning, you're always talking down.
So a little bit about the phrase, my truth. There are legitimate usages for that excuse or that label or that defense. But that is not one of them. You can't say, it's my truth that you were disrespectful. Well, again, it depends on what people mean. It's just not a great phrase if you say, well, it felt like you were disrespecting me with the duck thing. I don't know if you were being disrespectful really, but it felt disrespectful. It felt hurtful. That's all I can say. That is my truth. But it can't be my truth that you were disrespectful. It can't be my truth that you are immature. It's not your truth. That's not a convincing argument, right? It's my truth that the Earth is flat. Whoa, but I know there's 10 billion data points in the other direction, and 100% of scientists have a consensus that the Earth is an oblate spheroid and not flat. But my truth is that it's flat. It's not convincing. So she's like, I can give examples. I'm also wondering if they had this conversation off camera, which happens sometimes, in which they break up and then they are asked to recreate it for the camera. We've seen that before. We've seen that verified before. It kind of has that look to it because he doesn't seem to be surprised, and she is bringing up you. Yeah, I could bring examples which kind of alludes to maybe they had another conversation off camera.
On me, we're not equals here. It doesn't feel that way at all. You think I can't take care of myself for some reason? You think I can't take care of you? I can't take care of anything?
What are your responsibilities in life?
Payments.
What are your payments?
If I were a little birdie on his shoulder, I would say, do not get into a conversation with her about this. She will find a way to make it convincing to her that you are ridiculous. There's no road to convincing. She's not going to be like, oh, okay, you know what? I've been wrong this whole time. I apologize. You are responsible. No. And he has facts on the ground that she can pull out in her mind in a very easy way to demonstrate that he is not mature and he's not responsible.
My insurance, that's pretty much it right now,
Okay.
you know? So I live at home, right? So I don't have to pay rent. My responsibilities are, you know, taking care of myself, taking care of work, you know, making sure that the people around me are secure. You know, I have a cat. It's nothing like taking care of a dog.
Who
right?
feeds it?
So, I mean, my dad gets up at 6:30 a.m. and feeds the cat.
So is that cut your responsibility?
Yeah. It's my responsibility to.
I would say it's a very mature and responsible thing to not make excuses and lie and just lay it out. Yeah, it's my life. I don't apologize. He's from the beginning. He said, I don't apologize for living with my parents. It's a good move. I like my parents, and we have a big enough house, and I've been focusing on my career, and I don't think there's anything wrong with me living at home, because there isn't anything wrong. It's not irresponsible She's doing what I expected her to do, which is to think that she is cornering him and demonstrating that he's But the whole thing is, even if he is not experienced in paying the sort of bills that she is, and of course this plays into my hypothesis about her traumas, that she was cut off, as she said, and made to grow up fast, which she said. I don't know what that means, but I think what's playing out right now is that she is very hurt and upset about that thing that happened in the past, and she had to adopt an inner voice of, Hannah, you better grow up, or she was being told or something, and any irresponsibility in me needs to be stamped out. I need to be mature and smart and responsible and on top of things, or else. And then anyone who comes along, especially if they're a close person like a fiance, and then they just get replaced. Oh, you need to be responsible. And it's not reflective of reality.
Fill up her water and her food. Cats are pretty easy, right? You got to put out food throughout the day periodically. You got to fill up their water bowl. And that's pretty much it. Right? It's pretty easy. Make her feel loved. I'm a pretty simple man, right? So what are my responsibilities?
Simple men don't need a lot of responsibilities, right?
My responsibilities are being the best son and friend I can be, doing everything I can to be successful.
Just think about the vibe and the dynamic. She has a paper out like a therapist might, or an investigator, and is scrutinizing him, and he is being interrogated. He's like at a job interview, and her facial expression, over what? Over what? The crime that he has a life that is functional and he lives with his parents?
Successful in real estate. I'm trying to take the initiative. And
when do you make the initiative?
Nick, don't answer the question and either change the subject or leave. I don't want to watch this anymore. Stop it. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.